I'm going to be talking about a bunch of the people from Lunch Club and their responses. People such as Carson, Slime, and all of them. I'm gonna be talking about all of theirs and all their responses and going through them because some of their responses have more information. There's also another person by the name of the narrator. The narrator done a podcast with CallMeCarson and Raccoon Eggs, and he has some information about him. Travis and then went on Drama Alert and talked about the situation there, answered some questions from Keemstar, and we went through that in the last video, which you can go check out. We're going to go with Slime's response first, because Slime's response actually has some there's a big step in here, and there's a big difference from his than everyone else's. And I'm going to read this to you, and you'll understand why in a minute. Recently, two former Lunch Club members publicly alleged that Carson had been engaged in illegal activity with minors. To be clear, targeting a minor, grooming, sexting, and other inappropriate, unwanted sexual advances is illegal and particularly disgusting if the person is doing it is a YouTuber who has taken advantage of their fame to exploit young fans. My heart goes out to the people who have been victims. I am so sorry you went through that, and encourage to tell someone about it and get help that you need. In an early 2020 phone call, Carson told me Lunch Club members and our group manager that he exchanged nudes with an unnamed girl he believed to be 17. Because I suspected a crime had been committed, I immediately reported information to federal law enforcement, cut all ties with Carson, and withdrew completely from Lunch Club. Although Lunch Club manager had asked about a final March drop or a goodbye video, I refused because I no longer wanted to associate with Carson or Lunch Club. For all those asking why I did not speak publicly about these issues at the time, this is not drama, this is not alleged felony involving a child. As soon as I knew about this, I took every step to protect the unnamed victim and report the information I had to the authorities. A crime should be treated as a crime. I strongly encourage you to take similar actions and report it to relevant authorities. No person should ever have to be a victim of something like this. The reason that Slime's response is different from anyone else's is because he actually reported this to the police. And from what we know, no one else did. And from what everyone else's response is, no one else turned any report into the police. That's why I wanted to start with this one, because this means that he took this very seriously. And do I feel like he went a little bit too far? A little bit, because of basically the age difference. It is a bit far for him to do that, but I mean, he was trying to do the right thing. Cooper, or CS Scoop, or CS Coop, said, I said my piece about Carson's situation yesterday under the pretense that it would be used in Keem's video, but it wasn't. I didn't feel well enough mentally at the time to be interviewed. Thank you, Noah and Travis, for going on. Carson told me what he told Travis a few minutes before. I cut ties shortly after. My heart goes out to anyone affected by the actions of Carson. S is beyond effed. These people actually are having a very they're having the pretty proper reaction to this, and since all this has came out, which has been like a couple of weeks or so, Carson still has not came out about it at all, and has not made a statement or anything. If it did, it would probably break the internet. But we do need a statement from Carson. We also had Ted Division come out with his statement, another member of Lunch Club, and it's called My Statement on the Carson Situation. My Statement on the Carson Situation. It's extremely hard to remove a good friend out of your life, especially one that had quite literally helped me build my YouTube channel and had always been a cheerleader for me. However, I absolutely condemn actions of sexual misconduct and the use of power dynamics between content creators and their fans. At the beginning of last year, I spent a lot of time helping Carson with the case situation. I was very active in helping Carson through it, and I did so because I believed that he was truly hurting. I wanted to be a good friend for him. It was soon after that I, along with the rest of the Lunch Club, learned about this apparent misconduct. When I saw the DMs posted by some of the women who came forward, I realized that the situation Carson explained to me was very different from the one that actually happened, as well as connecting dots from various people I had spoken to in just the last week. It's truly terrible, the hurt that must have been experienced by the people directly involved, and I am embarrassed that I wasn't fully aware of the scale of the situation sooner. I heavily regret including him in a video of mine participating in his content even after Lunch Club ended. Over the months since its end, our talking and become briefer and less frequent, as I had personally struggled with how the process to address these vague but serious claims of what my friend done. Out of respect to the victims, I am removing any videos of my channel that include Carson. I applaud the bravery for those who had spoken out about the sexual misconduct, and I hope that you are able to find the help and support you to properly heal. Jay Slat actually came out with a video. He done it on his third channel. He has Jay Slat Live, and The Weekly Slap. He uploaded this on The Weekly Slap, and it was titled Carson. This gives a lot of good information, and it actually talks about Carson's behavior even after the fact that he came out with these actions. And he also brings up the Kate situation and why he actually stuck around after the fact that he came out about these allegations. This whole video is very important, but I will be trying to split everything as well as possible, so you get all the information pretty shortly, and we can go on to the next section.
Some context for you. Early 2020 was when Carson was at the lowest point in his life. He was extremely depressed. Little did we actually know why, but I knew he had been struggling with imposter syndrome when it came to YouTube and social media and that kind of stuff. And that was something I could relate to in a pretty big way. So I was there for him. You know, I would be in calls with him all the time, talking about anxiety, mental health, what it means to have this job, and how not to let it drive you up the wall, all that kind of stuff. And in that time, I got extremely close to him. I wouldn't call it best friends, but he was up there. And right after Carson had told us the truth, the Kate situation happened. And, you know, regardless of what we felt about the Kate situation, we saw Carson's mental state decline even more. And it was to the point that we genuinely thought his life could be in danger. And I felt like I needed to be there for him. And that's why I stuck with him. And that's why people like Josh and Connor stuck with him. In March and April, we'd be in calls with him almost every night till the sun came up, trying to help him through what he was going through. And I just want to say, like, I never condoned what he had done. I remember a call with him and Josh where both of us basically said to him, like, dude, if this behavior continues, we're done. You know, our close friend had fucked up, but he was also in a very dangerous place, and we felt like we had to be there for him. You know, and in doing that, we could give him the guidance and the company he needed to help him get out of this depressive state he was in, and help him grow and become a better person. We talked him into seeing a therapist. We helped him form a better relationship with social media, because he'd check his indirects constantly, and he'd have a tab open of every different site that he would just refresh. We talked him out of doing the impulsive shit he told us he was thinking of doing, like deleting all of his social media and posting about Kate. And obviously some of those attempts were less successful than others. But so much time spent with the guy, just trying to be good friends for him, and trying to do what we thought was the right thing to do. But a few weeks ago, I started having some conversations with some of Carson's closest friends, including his former roommates. And in my discussions with them, I heard some things that suggested that Carson wasn't improving in the areas that he should have been. And he was showing signs of continuing some of his inappropriate behavior. And apparently this was happening while I was spending all this time trying to help him. And while he was saying that he was working on himself, and that he was changing, and that he hates the person he used to be. These conversations were really the ones that got me second guessing how genuine Carson had been to me and to others throughout this whole thing. I remember me and Connor were in Austin at the time, and over a long ass dinner, we just kind of put all the pieces together that we often ignored, because of how close we were to him, and because of how well he had always treated us. You know, there were always stories I'd hear from his roommates about how he treated them, and how he generally just acted, that I glossed over, and I shouldn't have. Also, seeing the DMs he exchanged with some of the girls that have come forward absolutely fucking disgusted me. Up until yesterday, I thought that all these encounters Carson had were very much, spur of the moment mistakes that he regretted instantly. And that was very much the story that everybody was told. And knowing what we do now, it's simply just not the case. This was something he pursued. Looking back now, almost every step of the way, Carson tried to downplay what had actually happened. I remember a time when he even referred to the last time it had happened as like Q4 2019 instead of giving us an actual date. And dude, I'm shocked. Like I can no longer say with any confidence that I believe Carson's behavior has ever stopped. I can't take his word for it anymore. When I came to this realization a few weeks ago, I cut ties with Carson and started talking to the other guys about how best to go about this. And I got to hand it to Noah and Travis for stepping up and talking about it first. I feel for all the victims here, and to know that more people could have been hurt this year while Carson and I were friends, and while I continued to associate with him, and while I believe that he was on the right path, that fucking kills me. I hope all of them have gotten and continue to get the help they need to get through this, because this is a recurring problem now of content creators who take complete advantage of and manipulate the people that care about them the most. I don't think Carson's a pedophile, but that's what he did. He used his power to repeatedly take advantage of vulnerable people. I don't know what causes this to happen. I don't know what compels content creators to do this, but it happens. And it's a big fucking problem. And as cliche as it is for me to say this, I really hope Carson gets the help that he very, very clearly needs as well. That's about all I have to say. Thank you all for listening, and be well.
From what Jay Slat said, they basically stayed with him because he was in a very dangerous mental state, and they just tried to help him through it. And later on, Jay Schlatt figures out that he's not actually that nice of a guy, and that he's not at all improving on not texting these minors. And he also explains that he never condoned this. This whole video was pretty good, and I'm pretty sure I put basically about the whole video in it. But all of this information is very important to have in here. I will link the video in the description below, and there should have been a timestamp. There's also a screen recording from Joko, who tweeted out a screen recording of some DMs, and they were for sure real. So here's some evidence of that. In this recording, he shows that he admitted to this.
I was 19. I'm not into kids, but I did trade nudes with people under the age of 18, which is very bad. I was 19. That's all you need right there. That's Carson's profile. There you go. There's all the stuff for that. And then if you go down to the very bottom, grooming, pedophilia, Carson situation, this tweet, he says, "This shit is absolutely disgusting. I figure you guys will be seeing this sooner or later, but yeah, absolutely gross messages confirming that this is true." I'm not into kids, but I did trade nudes with people under the age of 18, which is very...
If Jay Slat was correct about what Carson is saying here, then he does not deserve the platform he has any longer. He doesn't really deserve it anymore in the first place. Because there is still going to be kids out there that are going to watch these videos no matter how old, no matter how 18 plus the content is. Underage people are still going to watch the content. And then that gets small viewers who are going to show him attention, and it ends up being this situation over and over and over again. With Carson doing this inappropriate behavior to minors, even if it was 2 years under in the beginning, who knows how much lower it could be later on. There's also a video made by the narrator where he talks about his experience with CallMeCarson and basically explaining that he doesn't take much serious at all, and that he tried to end the podcast in a terrible way with no communication at all, gaslighting his friend who he knew that he had mental problem. One of the big problems with the narrator situation is that people are saying that they debunked it, so I'm not completely sure how, and I don't really want to look into those videos because I'm pretty sure his response was pretty solid. If it is that bad of a video that it's all fake and false and stuff like that, and it's 100% true, or it's 90%, or it's a big percentage true that it is a bad video, then The problem with the narrator video seemed pretty solid. I'm going to link it down in the description. It's hard to talk about because I feel like it was pretty solid, but people are saying that they debunked it and stuff like that. But how true are their debunks, and are they stretching to try to defend Carson or what? It's very hard to say. I feel like the whole situation was dealt with pretty good by the whole lunch club. They didn't try to attack him or be like, hey, yeah, go hate him, go unsub. They were just like, he done this, we have to split ways. And even Jay Schlatt said himself, hey, we're going to split ways if you keep doing this. These guys handled it very professionally. Personally, I would say unsubscribe to him. And generally, these videos do need to be made for the protection of kids because the more hours that his channel is up, the more kids that are going to DM him and being fans not knowing. Like, look at the Mini-Lad situation where there's clearly blind followers and there's actually people that still don't know what he done bad. Which, actually, speaking of, I will be doing another Mini-Lad video soon. It's just so bad of how blind stands can be in followers. Especially because some of these people are toxic stands that will just ride him till the end and try to dox anyone else because they don't have the same opinion or they expose him as something. Generally, Carson has done bad things, and these things, from what they sound like, he keeps doing, and he's not very he doesn't really care at all, and he might even do this more in the future. Even if it was only 2 or 3 years now, what about down the road whenever he's 25 or 30 years old, still texting more of these 17, 15-year-olds? It doesn't get any better, especially whenever you just keep texting more minors. That's why he should be taken off of the platform, or at least he should just, I don't know. What do y'all think in the comments below? What should happen to Carson's channel? Should it get deleted? Should he just leave the internet? I feel like, generally, if you do something like this, you should leave the internet. Especially because there was multiple accounts of it. It's no different than the Mini-Lad situation. But the only difference is that Mini-Lad basically is hiding it right now. Or he was hiding it, and he done a very halfway done apology. And then after the fact of the halfway done apology, he comes back, uploads regularly kids content, and then he makes another apology that leaves out more context and stuff like that. So, Mini-Lad's more on the hiding side, no one cares about money. We just have to see about Carson, and we'll just have to see where it goes from here. Tell me what y'all think should happen to Carson. Thank you for watching, and sorry for not uploading that much recently.